What is good? We're back. Got my man Chev. What's good, man?
You know me, brother. Any day on this side of dirt's a good one.
That's right. That's right. And on this side of the dirt today, we're going to talk about the later rounds, right? We've done a first round mock. We've done the second round of the mock. We're not going to do the third and fourth, but we did want to get in here and let you guys know who we still like in those third and fourth rounds, kind of what we're seeing and feeling, right? So these are kind of your must draft top targets. Don't leave your draft without kind of deals here. And, you know, we could probably lead it off with, I think we both would be comfortable saying Jalen Royals is like the quick no-brainer here in the third round, who both of us really love that is getting pushed into that spot. Might be a minute, but we love the area and we love the spot, right?
I mean, absolutely, without question. I mean, that's a guy that I had in, my top 10 receivers, and now you're getting him in the third round. I got him in the fourth round of a draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's sliding like crazy because people don't really see the path to opportunity. It's like the Ibuka situation, but make it 10 times worse. So Jalen Royals is a slam dunk in the third round, almost an auto select. He replaced my original auto select, who we're going to talk about in a little bit.
I love the idea of getting Royals, and I think the way that he can kind of come in is exactly how the Chiefs want to use the rookies. We've seen the pattern a few times. Now Worthy got pushed into it faster, but at the end of the year, I feel like you're going to start to see more and more Royals, and then Hollywood's only on a 1-year deal. I feel like this is the ignition they tried to do it last year, but this is the ignition to back to Chiefs, 25, 30 point a game offense, and sorry for the rest of the league. And I feel like he's
Zoom, baby.
Right. So that was kind of the first guy I just wanted to briefly touch on because I know we liked him. And that's how this conversation's going to be. There's going to be guys that we like through the whole process, right? And now we just have to adjust where we're taking them a little bit. I'm not going to call it take lock. We did the work. We like the guys. It didn't quite work out, whether it's situationally or capital or both. But I still like to target those guys unless it's just absolute dog water, right? And even then, it's okay if it's like later fourth round guys. But I think one guy that probably has risen up a little bit here, we both liked him, but I'd say Jaydon Blue is one that is opportunity is really, I mean, you would say an injury away, but it really doesn't even need to be an injury, right? That he could have this job by August, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a landing spot. So if you listen to what the Cowboys post-draft press conference, what they had to say about adding Jaydon Blue and him being a completely different type of back from the guys that they already have, I mean, there's a pathway for him to get a ton of touches early. And they do have Javonte Williams. They do have Miles Sanders. They did bring in Clemson, a guy from your backyard, Phil Maffa.
Sure.
I think he might actually fit the bill for what Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator, he's the offensive line coach, and he's gonna be in charge of coaching up that whole that O-line. They do get Tyler Booker, but yeah, I think that's a tremendous opportunity. And I mean, he's free. I mean, he's not free, but if he's in the third round of drafts, sometimes slipping to the fourth round. I mean, he's not going to make now because, so many people love the Cowboys. He's not going to go undrafted like some fifth round running backs would. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, just that's a name to definitely keep on your radar because the opportunity for him to just show out is, I mean, it's apparent. And there's, nobody really believes in Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams based on their bodies of work over the course of the last 2 seasons.
For sure. And the thing you like about Blue is that the suddenness and the quickness and the speed that he has, like those are the things that can pop, make the court of public opinion be excited, so you could get some return on value on that, and or get somebody like Jared Jones excited, right?
Yeah.
He pops a couple off, and he's like, let the boy watch, throw him in,
the boy watch,
throw him in there. So Jaydon Blue, I think he's going up the boards, but he's definitely somebody that I agree with to be going up the boards to could have an opportunity, and because of the traits that he has as far as speed and explosion, could be a sexy one. And we got a lot of running backs here to start this show because the way this draft worked out, some of the ones we really like got pushed down, and we thought that might be a possibility. And now there's an embarrassment and riches of some running backs, so you can kind of pick your flavor of the running backs you like here. And the next one was Devin Neal, one that we're real high on through the whole process. We kind of had an idea that this might happen. And he goes to a situation that on paper could say, I don't know, but like it's kind of really exciting for me. Doesn't get the capital that we want, but it's Alvin Kamara, who's a little older, and then it's a guy who, really hasn't stayed healthy, although when he has played a game or two here, it has been pretty good. And I always like Kendre Miller, but now you got Devin Neal there. That's a pro's pro, and I feel like he's going to be in that 2 slot getting carries before we know it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get past the fact that they've gotten out on Alvin Kamara's contract after this season, if I'm not mistaken, and then he's at that running back age apex. Don't know if we'll have to drink for using the words age apex in the show, but I mean, he's going to be 30 this year, and he got hurt at the end of last year. Now, he is incredible. He's awesome. Alvin Kamara, make no bones about it, he is the one. But if you're looking for who's going to spell him, or, they've been looking for someone to take some of the load off of his shoulders. They signed Jamal Williams. That failed miserably. They took Kendre Miller. I mean, he's basically the running back version of Treylon Burks. When you give him the ball, it looks good. But, I mean, you're only giving the ball like 12 times before he goes back to IR. So there's definitely a role for him for Devin Neal to come in and supplant Kendre Miller. I firmly believe that. And yeah. I was hoping that he would be a bargain because, I mean, in our ADP throughout the whole deal, he's been in the middle of the second this entire time. Mm-hmm. So now thinking about him going in the mid to late third in a lot of the rookie drafts that I'm in right now, like that's a deal that's hard for me to pass up.
Yeah, I'm only in 1 or 2 right now and some mocks, but a lot of early force, mid force even for Neal, which is even better at that point, right? I don't really care where he ends up going in rookie drafts at this point. It's just the later the better for me because I just believe in the player a lot. And the situation I don't think is terrible. They're kind of in a reboot. They went O-line. You got Kellen Moore in there. I think Kellen Moore can call an offense. We'll see if he can head coach a team. But it's definitely a situation that, could be pretty fruitful for Neal very soon. I think even right off the rip this year, I think he's going to be the 2 there because that's a pro's pro. All right, next one.
Absolutely.
This guy's really screaming up the boards right now. A lot of juice from a lot of big people, but Jarquez Hunter, we've gave him some love here and there, especially towards the end of the process. But Rams draft a running back. Feels like the Niners always drafting a running back. Rams always drafting a running back. Kyron's there for another year. We'll see if the contract plays out. And then they took Corum last year, who was already going to replace Kyron. And now you have another guy in Hunter who everybody likes. So the trendy thing has been all the backups for Kyron because all those guys that were wrong about Kyron have been wanting to replace Kyron for years. And Kyron just keeps scoring RB1 points. So I think you could chalk Kyron up probably for RB1 points once again. But who knows after this season? And Hunter is a guy who they had tagged often and early in LA.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, this was kind of a surprise. I expected Devin Neal to get some sort of capital like this, but Jarquez Hunter getting it and going to an offense that has, I mean, it's locked, loaded, ready to go. If something happens to Kyron Williams, we're talking about just the lion's share of opportunity. That's the way that Sean McVay has done it. That's the way he's going to continue to do it, going all the way back to Todd Gurley to late season, rookie season, Cam Akers. Now to Kyron, like you see the pattern. So there's an opportunity here that if something happens to Kyron, Jarquez Hunter steps in, and we've talked about like there's nothing flashy. I even compared him to Cam Akers. Yeah. So if this is again, you're not having to spend a second. You're not having to spend. I know I believe Theo Grimminger posted in one of the FFPC leagues, Jarquez Hunter went at the 2.7, but like that's not happening in regular leagues. I just got him at the 4.8 in a league that I'm in.
Yeah.
So I think that, there's an opportunity here. And I mean, it's free. It's found money. If a 4th round pick hits, that's a lottery ticket. So I love Jarquez Hunter. I think that he's a professional and he's going to earn his way onto a field. With the way that Sean McVay plays offense, that could be a gold mine if something happens to Kyron Williams.
For sure. So, Jarquez getting steamed 2.6 is crazy. And that's a good point of like, Yeah, there might be some drafts where somebody goes crazy on one of these guys, but Hunter seems to be one of the favorites right now. But a lot of these guys that we've talked about are late thirds, early fourths right now. So that's great opportunity cost. And I think this guy's no different. We'll switch it up for a second, go to tight end, and I'm sure we'll hit some more running backs. But Oronde Gadsden, talked about him through the whole process. Goes to a situation, got good Levi's. We know the last name if you're an OG. And then goes into a situation to the Chargers where they trade up for him, right? And this is a receiver kind of prototype tight end player, but this is a position that they could definitely use. I mean, I like Tyler Conklin. I think Tyler Conklin's a solid tight end in the league.
Great guy.
Right.
Great. Hey, solid, PPR guy.
Yeah, if you need just a non-premium or a little fill-in guy, or you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, Conklin can get it done for you, right? He's somebody you can plug in there if you're hurt or bye weeks, or just, hey, I'm not playing the tight end position heavy. But Gadsden's a guy that could really put on and show out, and has been a name that we've been just kind of passing around all off season. So again, not really take lock, but ends in a situation that you really like. Not crazy capital, but enough to make you go,
Yeah, without question. So with Oronde Gadsden, I don't really understand why. Like, we loved Harold Fannin Jr. Harold Fannin Jr. goes in the third round to the Browns. Now, he's an NFL legacy guy. He's bigger than Harold Fannin Jr. He runs, like, he tested at Syracuse's pro day and was more athletic. He ran a 4.6, I believe a 4.65 or a 4.62, which 4.62 would have been the fastest out of all the tight ends in this year's draft. And, you watch the tape and it's a receiver playing tight end. And I mean, no, he doesn't block that well, but we've seen, I mean, when Greg Roman got Mark Andrews in Baltimore, they weren't asking him to block. They were lining him up. They were lining him up all over the formation and throwing him the ball. That's exactly what's going to happen. If you go, now this is a little homework for you. If you go and you watch the press conference, or excuse me, not the press conference, if you go and watch the draft call for Oronde Gadsden Jr., Jim Harbaugh said something that's stuck in my brain now. And it's, you're going to fill a role for us, like a need immediately. And he said it like it's not a quote. I heard him say it. You can go look it up on YouTube. It's like we need you. So, paying attention. Yeah, it's a 5th round pick, but they traded 2 6th round picks and traded up to get this specific guy. And I believe that he's one of those guys with a skill set that could be a difference maker at the tight end position. So you're spending a 4th on him. I think I took him in a 311 in a draft. Like, I'm doing like 8. I'm in like 8 live drafts right now. So I'm telling you from experience things that are actually happening, and you don't have to say like, oh, well, that would never happen in my league. It happened in my league. So leave me alone about it. So
yeah. And
I believe in the talent 1,000%.
Same. And I'm only 1 or 2 drafts in, but we're 9 mock drafts deep in Superflex tight end premium, and this is more of a tight end premium pick that I'd prioritize this. But I don't mind Gadsden super late in non-premium either, because you do need the position. I don't put a premium on the position if it's non-tight end premium really in general, but I pretty much only play tight end premium. So Gadsden's definitely a name to watch. These last 2 running backs, at least, I know you probably have a couple more, but Brashard Smith was a guy we loved in the process. It was very up in the air where the chips were going to lie with capital and all that stuff. And it's not great, but then, you do get a spot where, we used to, back in the day, used to say Chiefs lamp, like just any inanimate object on the Chiefs, I'll take it.
Right.
And Brashard Smith could definitely get in there, find a role. And look, and I like Pacheco. I think Pacheco is good. I think Pacheco was looking really strong. I think he probably came back too early from that injury that he had. And that injury, we've seen guys like Pacheco and Mark Andrews really take a while to come back and be right from. And Pacheco was trying to gut that out for his team. He could come back this year and be great. I don't know that they'll sign him to another contract, right? But Brashard Smith can come in there and fill this ridiculous pass catching role and just do some different things that Pacheco doesn't really do. And So for that reason, Brashard Smith is a trade into the 4th round kind of guy for me. I want to make sure I'm not leaving my draft without Brashard Smith. Loved him. That doesn't change. And the situation is great. The capital just isn't, right? So,
well, I mean, for me, this was when I saw, okay, round 5 goes by, no Brashard Smith. Round 6 goes by, no Brashard Smith. Well, then we're in the 7th round, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I said, man, I just want a great landing spot now. I could, like, we're past the point of getting the type of capital to where he's going to be guaranteed to make the team. But let me lay out a couple things, okay? One, former 4-star receiver, had over 800 yards receiving in his career at the University of Miami, and was a dynamic kick returner. So there's a path for him to contribute and make the 53, even if it's a special teams early on. So you'd be active, come week 1. Then you're looking at the role that Jerick McKinnon vacated. They were trying to fill that out with Samaje Perine and throwing the ball, like throwing little short dump offs to Travis Kelce. And now he's at the point where he's just like falling down. This is a guy with juice. If you liked what Jerick McKinnon did for you in those championship weeks of 2023, if you can remember back that far, this guy is very similar skill set. I said skimmer, but very similar skill set. And I think that this is, again, 4th round pick. It's found money. He's going to the 4th round of a lot of drafts. And the people who know what his skill set represents, they're not coming up off of him easy. Like, I got sniped me for him, took me to 3-6. He said he listens to the show, and I was like, all right, bro. But now he's like, yeah, I would need like a 26. I'd need like a 26 first for him. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
So the people who know, like, really appreciate what this opportunity could represent for Brashard Smith, and the landing spot's ideal. We talked about it with Jalen Royals. Now we're talking about it with Brashard Smith. I'm going to talk about it till I'm blue in the face because of the fact that I think that there's a real opportunity here as early as this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I talked, like you said, I talked about it a little bit with Royals, but I think, and, I know everybody's down on Pat a little bit in this offense, but like, it's a sleeping giant. And all of a sudden you just have all these pieces that you're like, damn, this, if you're paying attention, this kind of sucks for everyone. Cause they've made their money on defense the last couple of years, and Pat just being good, awesome, one of the best at just figuring out how to win games, right? With close margins. Don't be surprised if in this iteration of the Chiefs, we see a bounce back in the offense being, kind of the leader, and not that the defense has really taken too many steps back, but they hit it in the draft, and they hit all the right parts and pieces in that defense, and they have Spags who didn't get ripped away from. All the good teams, DCs and OCs, get ripped away from them. Well, guess what? Spags didn't, and now that defense got built up for exactly the parts and pieces they need, and they hit on them. Well, here comes the offense. They hit on Rice, they hit on Worthy. Now if they hit on Royals right here, and then they get a little something from Brashard.
I mean,
here we are.
So just as surprised as we were going into the 2023 season, Mahomes is coming off that 2022 where he throws for 5,040 touchdowns. I think he's the first quarterback to ever throw for 5,000 twice. Like, how surprised we were with the way that the Chiefs played going into the 2023 season, and it carried into this year. We could experience a shift. And Mahomes was a quarterback 1 then, right? Like, it was Josh Allen and it was Mahomes, and then Lamar was a little bit further behind. And now Mahomes is back like QB7, QB8 in our ADP, right? Like, there is nothing stopping him from going back to – he did not stop being the guy that threw for 5,040 touchdowns.
Right.
The weapons just got way worse, and they didn't need to do that anymore. Yeah. So – Adding this type of speed, Jalen Royals runs a 4.41, 4.42, and they'll have the second fastest 10-yard split of any player besides Matthew Golden at the combine. And then Brashard Smith runs a 4.3, converted wide receiver, like catching out of the way.
Backfield. Worthy was the fastest guy ever at the combine.
Fastest guy ever. Rashee Rice, I mean, he didn't time well, but watch him play football, and you're like, my God. Okay. Right. So you can see a path to where this they have to score points to win, and they're going to be able to score points. So
yeah. No, I like it. So I'm going to throw Jordan James out there real quick. was a player that I like, just a good all around versatile player. Goes to the Niners, gives him something different to back up CMC from Garendo. Just operates differently from how Garendo plays. A little bit more athleticism and speed. Not that Jordan James is terribly slow, but he's not like some burner. But can make you miss. Have some good physicality to what he's doing. So I really like Jordan James. Niners pick him up. Later capital, but definitely a name that in that late 4th round, if he's still hanging around, I got my eye on. And I'm going to throw Woody Marks out there. I know he's not your favorite guy, but got the good capital and goes to a spot where
surprisingly good capital. That's what's wild to me.
Yeah. Good capital. And you could argue LaQuinn Allen, but the best or one of the best pass catchers in this class from the running back standpoint. So could have a role really quickly with Mixon on that offense. And they're kind of trying to reinvigorate and get an embarrassment of riches on offensive Texans at edge, where, Woody Marks had like over 250 or 60 career catches.
261.
And, I think he's a pretty solid player. So those are a bunch of the backs. And I know we named a bunch of guys, and we're going to talk about a few receivers before we get out of here. And I think you have another running back or two to throw on there. The point isn't like to talk about every player, but just to put guys' names on the radar of these are the guys that I'm looking at once I get into these rounds, that these are the guys that auto go in my queue, right? That these guys, I queue these guys up and then I rank them in my queue. And then I'm like, all right, well, where are these guys going? And do I need to make a trade offer for one of these guys late and see what the board is bearing on how much these guys are going to cost? Can I trade 2 fourths to come in here and get somebody I really like right now? So,
right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you're making microtransactions. You're not doing something that's going to change the composition or the strategy or direction your team's headed. You're acquiring more shots at a lotto ticket by trading for these guys, like trading for a spot to trade for these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to acquire a 4th.
Right.
Like, I mean, and the bigger point here is, treat 4ths like something that you just like a little cherry on top in your leagues or whatever. Like you're getting a trade. Hey, just ask for a 4th back.
Right.
Like, if you're familiar with the class and you're doing the work or you're listening to us, like you're going to have names there that instead of just, do I know who this guy is? So Anyway, that's a sidebar, but running back I want to bring up here is Tahj Brooks. So Tahj Brooks goes to the combine. He sheds weight from what his playing weight was listed at Texas Tech, comes in at 214, runs a 4.53, has incredible agility measurables. I think he had the fastest short shuttle and then the fastest, like the 3rd fastest 3-cone drill of all the running backs, if I'm not mistaken. Something ridiculous. So, he's really, really, really exciting for me. I know I said really, 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 but he's really exciting for me because of the fact that he lands with the Bengals. Zach Moss is cooked. I mean, I don't know what his next situation is, but that's not great. They got P. Ryan. I think that he could earn touches ahead of those guys, even though, I mean, P. Ryan's apparently the consummate professional that you just got to keep around. But there's an opportunity there, and he goes there in the 6th round. We talked about Chase Brown getting some sort of competition. If Chase Brown gets dinged up, I think that this is the guy that could give you some value. And again, he's going nearly undrafted. So Tahj Brooks is my guy here.
Yeah, and we saw them figuring out who the back was last year in the beginning of the season, starting with Moss, giving Brown touches. So, they can play with 2 backs. I think Brooks gives you something different than Chase offers. So, if you want to switch it up a little bit, he could come in and maybe grind you a little bit more than what Chase how Chase operates anyway.
Right.
So, all right, you got some wide receivers that you like here, and I not that you just like them, but did you have some other players that you wanted to throw out here before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, the Broncos 3rd pick in the draft, Pat Bryant. Every single Broncos fan that I know felt like that was a massive reach. And then you go to the press conference and you say, well, Sean Payton, what was your decision? Why did you decide to pick Pat Bryant, a guy who tested poorly, and was kind of a good player in the Big Ten? I mean, you look at his stats; they're impressive, and then you can kind of see a little bit of why. But then he gave him a comp that should make people start paying a lot more attention. Said that, Sean Payton, again, direct quote, hey, this guy reminds me a lot of Michael Thomas. That's something we got to pay attention to.
Sure.
That's something we got to pay attention to. So, I'm paying attention to the draft capital, landing spot. Yes, they added Evan Ingram. Yes, they have Devon Vele. Yes, Marvin Mims flashed as a deep downfield threat. Drafted Troy Franklin in the 4th round. Now they take this guy with the 74th overall pick. Is this kind of, the writing on the wall as far as I don't think Cortland Sutton got an extension. So I think they just gave him some new money. So he could be on the way out. He's 30 years old. I don't know what their future plans are as far as he goes, but that's something I have to pay attention to. They take a guy, in the top 100 picks and give him a comparison for a guy who played with him that is currently, if I'm not mistaken, the single season record holder for catches in the season.
Yeah, they all the years after 2025 for Sutton are voidable.
Okay.
So basically they just gave him some more money, like you said.
Right.
He seems kind of like he could be the Sutton replacement as Sutton maybe walks out the door next year, potentially. We'll see. The only thing I'll say about Sean Payton, which can be really good for Brian, is like, boy, he's had some terrible decisions at wide receiver. And then he just just little Jordan Humphreys out there playing over, like just a bunch of dudes with terrible names out there playing and have no business playing. And when he goes with it, he sticks with it. Right. And so, so it could be good news for Pat Bryant. Even if he stinks, he's going to ride with him for a little while. I mean, I'm not talking any shit about Vele, but I mean, he put Vele out there and Vele played a lot, He wasn't putting Franklin and Mims out there as, I don't know what the snap percentage exactly were, but I saw a lot of Vele last year, and it's like
way more than we would like.
Right.
For getting burners like Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims on the field.
Right. All right. You got anything else for us? Who else you want to hit before we get out of here?
Well, I mean, we talked about Tai Felton. Like let's talk about Tai Felton. I mean, that was kind of a surprise, right? Him going to the end of the 3rd round, last pick of the 3rd round.
I thought that was a 5th, 6th round pick that you could get excited about. But I mean, 3rd round of the Minnesota Vikings, man.
You gotta pay attention to it.
Sure.
That seems more signal than noise when we're talking about, what did the team do? The team has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. And
Naylor. Don't forget about Naylor.
And I mean, they took this guy to replace Naylor. Honestly, that might be the thing. Is like that. I mean, and Jalen Naylor had 6 touchdowns.
He played pretty well in spots last year. Naylor did.
Yes, like he had some usable weeks. If you were in best ball, there were weeks where he entered, like he was able to enter your lineup. So, I mean, with no equivocations, I think that Tai Felton is superior to Jalen Naylor. So, like that's probably what he's going to do. But he's capable of so much more.
Yeah, he's a guy who can stretch you, got good speed, but I think the yak ability is one of his best abilities. And we talked about Tai Felton in the process quite a bit whenever we were in the late rounds, and now Tai Felton got the good capital and still is kind of in the late rounds, but definitely I think once people run out of those names, like he jumps up ahead of all those running backs for some people because of maybe the capital that he got over some of those 5th, 6th, 7th round running backs. And I can't blame you for it. I might probably still take those stabs on some of those running backs, but I do like Tai Felton. And then I think Torrey Horton Jr. would be another one, or maybe the last one we'd hit tonight. Just again, a lot of Tai Felton, a lot of Torrey Horton Jr. And Ricky White won't make the show tonight. But Torrey Horton goes to Seattle, right? And he's got 5th round capital, I believe.
Yep.
So not going to move the needle for a lot of people capital wise, but the player's solid, right? These are the guys, like when we talk about these wide receivers that you're still okay with drafting that don't get the good draft capital that because the percentages stinks. He's the type of guy that we're talking about, right? He's got good tape. He's put up really good numbers. He got beat up by an injury this year. He should have came out last year.
Yes.
Right.
But I mean, he was going to be depressed by that draft class too.
Sure, for sure. But I think he goes into a spot that they absolutely need another receiver there that's different than JSN and Cooper Kupp, and I feel like he fits that mold really well.
Yeah, it's not fucking Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I'll tell you that much right now. Ricky White, like people aren't really paying
I love
attention.
Ricky White.
Yeah, Ricky White and Torrey Horton might be two of the biggest winners in terms of landing spot in the draft.
Yeah, two great picks.
You got Jake Bobo and Marquez Valdes-Scantling to beat out, bro. Come on.
Yeah. And maybe those guys ride out for the beginning of the year because they're pros. They've been there for a while, and MVS has had some up and downs, and Bobo's probably a fan favorite out there. It seems like from
for sure
the Seattle people that I know, but I think Torrey Horton can win with skill and athleticism, and Ricky White. I think he might be somebody you see a little more next year if Cooper Kupp isn't around.
Yeah.
But
I got to see how much guaranteed money they gave Kupp, because I know they gave him 3 years, 45, but how much of that is real?
Yeah, I don't know. And let's not pretend that Cooper Kupp's been on the field, stayed on the field
right
a whole lot over the last few years, right? Whether it's nicks, bumps, bruises, missing a little bit of time or large stretches, right? So again, opening up more opportunity for Horton, because I don't exactly know how this alignment's going to roll with Seattle, but it feels like Horton could be a guy that just gives him something different that they could throw on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, he's not quite the burner that Rashid Shaheed is, but I mean, who is? And
no, he's good vertical, man.
He could be a great vertical X receiver, clear out guy. He can make contested catches. Like I said, I love that landing spot because, it's not the draft capital you want, but if we can't get the draft capital we want a path to being able to visualize opportunity for our guys.
Right. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to throw at him before we get out of here, Chev?
Yeah, we'll cover the other guys on the next episode or Patreon episode, whatever. Yeah. There's a lot.
Of course, yeah, and that's the fun part I think about this draft class is we talked about it being deep for so long, and some of this got really depressed down here. So there's still guys who we like the talent with, which is why we just talked about a lot of guys. And we'll have rankings of where we kind of have these guys, and those will move around and be fluid as we figure this out more and more. Because I'm still not 1,000% sure exactly where all these guys should be going and who I like over who. And that'll come with some time and some feeling, and it'll be plenty wrong throughout. Somebody who we aren't even talking about right now, could be the darling of this draft class from the receiver position. So,
I mean, at a certain point, we're never going to give you Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be a bona fide top 5 dynasty wide receiver being selected in the 4th round. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't, there's going to be surprises, but that's why you take these shots on these people, because you get, found money. If you stash Nico Collins, in 2022, come 2023, that's a top 10 asset. That's now like a top 6 or 7 asset as a wide receiver. And that's, you didn't do anything. You just held pat, but that, we don't have to get too far into that.
Right. No, that's the fun part of Dynasty, man, is taking some of these shots late and hanging out with them and having faith. So that's why we talk about and spend some time on these later guys. One, to help you get through give you some ideas of who to take and maybe guys that we didn't mention. I'm not necessarily saying stay away from them. I'm just saying these are the guys that pop off to me immediately that go into my queue. So appreciate you listening. You can go find Chev on the Twitters at Chev90. Got the link tree. Check that out. You can find everything you need to know about my man over there. I don't know if you can find his sign over there, but you just got to keep watching. One day he'll tell you.
One day.
All right, man. Hey, make sure you go check out the League Champ app. I don't know if that's made it to the link tree yet, but
no, that's the one thing that's not on the link tree yet. But I guess I could probably add a link to the App Store to the link tree. So yeah, go download the app, put some rankings in. We're giving away, we're going to do a sweepstakes for the most accurate rankers of, Dynasty, Redraft, Best Ball, all that. I think it's $1,000 to each winner. So yeah, you don't have to do anything but put rankings in. I'm not asking for money. I've not come to ask for more financial support. We're actually giving stuff away. So
yeah.
Download it, sign up, tag me on Twitter, take a picture. You got questions, we got answers.
I love it. All right. If you want more of us, you can check out the Patreon. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, 5-star review if you're listening on the podcast. We're going to start some new giveaways for the 5-star reviews coming really, really soon. If you're listening on Player Profiler, make sure you subscribe to the FFD side of things on our just home brand channel, because sometimes you miss episodes. So you don't want to be missing episodes if you're listening on Player Profiler. So make sure you go over to the FFD and subscribe over there to get that right to you so you don't miss any episodes. Until next time, I'm Casey. That's Chev. We're the FFD. Peace.